Hey. Hello everyone, how's it going? It's live stream again. I didn't expect us to be here again this week. That's pretty exciting. I think you probably knew something in the background there, didn't you? You must have known.
Well, you know, it's an incredibly exciting topic.
So on Wednesday, news posts went up announcing the start date of the Evolution of Combat, which is
20th. Week commencing the 19th.
So those of you who've still got questions, so we thought we'd better have a live stream. So we've got Chriselle here, we've got Pi here, we've got Mark here again. How you doing, guys? All good?
Yeah, good.
I'm glad to see that this stream again, you've also graced us with some amazing t-shirts. Before we get stuck in, just quickly run down on your t-shirts. That one looks like it's seen better days for a start.
Yeah, it's not the greatest at ironing, but yeah, Optimus Prime, Haynes manual, owner's manual.
Okay, nice.
I have Schrodinger's cat, but he's a zombie because he's both dead and alive.
Okay, that's quite highbrow, yeah.
I have the two greatest combinations of cool things ever, Darth Vader and the Olympics. It's Darth Vader doing the
Olympics.
The bolt.
Yeah, nice.
Bolt point.
Wicked.
Very exciting.
Okay,
sweet.
Good show, good show. So,
what about you?
I'm just wearing an old band t-shirt from some band that's probably broken up by now, I don't know. So, we've got loads of your questions again. They've been coming in through Twitter, they're coming in through the forums, and we've put them into 5 sections for you. So we're going to be talking about why we're changing the combat system and having the Evolution of Combat, and talk about some of the details in that. We're going to talk about some of people's kind of questions about, you know, like general Evolution of Combat questions. Why doing it? How does it affect this? How does it affect that? Dungeoneering, we've got some questions all about Dungeoneering and the Evolution of Combat.
Awesome.
Which is pretty good because we just did a behind the scenes with you.
I'm more awake now.
Yeah, are you sure?
She interviewed me on like Monday, first thing.
Okay. No, you did great though.
It was a good thing.
Good. But I know though, what about that hair? Anyway.
Glorious.
He has got the coolest mod name as well.
He does.
One day I'll be Mod Mumra, I'm sure.
We've also got questions on levels, stats and items and how the Evolution of Combat will affect all those. And then we're going to talk a bit about the future.
Great.
Yeah. So if you've got any comments throughout the stream, we're going to be sort of replying to your questions and comments as we go. RS Live on Twitter is the hashtag, so give us a shout whenever you like. Right, so many questions to go. I've already one piece of paper down. Let's get stuck in then. So I've already asked you this one actually. So when does it come out?
So week commencing the 19th of November, we're intending to launch on the 20th.
Brilliant. Okay. And how long do you expect the update to take? Is it going to be like a long? Is the server's going to be down for a while, or is it a quick one?
No, same amount of time as always. We'll give the same notice that we always do. Just because it's one of the biggest updates we've ever made to the game doesn't mean we want to, turn the servers off. It would just be the same as normal.
Cool. So there's been lots of feedback, lots of discussion. It's a really hot topic. I mean, this is why I suppose we're doing a second stream on it, because everyone's kind of talking about it. It's one of the biggest changes. So why are we doing the update?
Well, we started thinking about this quite some time ago. We wanted to change some of the combat within RuneScape, make it more exciting, make it more about the tactical choices that you make within combat. We also wanted to change the ways that players interacted with the game. So rather than spending so much time navigating between interfaces, we wanted to be able to put all of the features that you use in combat in one handy place so that you could focus on the action rather than focus on switching between the different tabs.
Okay.
And also it's about the future. It's about, we realised that the combat system that we currently have, it was very old, it was very clunky, took loads of development time just to iterate that system. So the idea of starting from scratch, the idea of being able to address all of the kind of imbalances that existed within the game, and create an awesome launching point for fantastic new combat content in the future. We're super aware that so many of our players have got really, really high levels, and we know that the equipment and the bosses that we've got in the game don't necessarily cater for those really, really high level players. So we wanted to be able to put the content in for those people. And Evolution of Combat allows us to do that. Cool,
okay. So it's a huge update, there's so much that goes into it, and it doesn't seem that long ago that it was even first mentioned that we were going to do it. It doesn't take very long to make it then, or is it too soon, or I don't know, how long did it take?
Well, I mean, we started talking about it about 18 months ago. Certainly, a lot of the ideas that we've had for years, we knew we couldn't do with the current system. So it's almost like years and years worth of really, really cool ideas that had built up for a while, and we got to the point where we realised that we needed to make the change to the game. So, I mean, in earnest, from a development perspective, we've been working on it for sort of about 8 months. 8 months to a year, something like
Yeah,
that.
that's
But we expanded the team considerably about 6 months ago, brought John on board. You know, we've had a team of loads and loads of artists, loads of QAs, and 4 developers that have been working on it solidly for the last sort of 6 months, and we've been bringing more people into the team to help make sure that all the different facets of the game have been updated.
Okay, cool. So there's actually a question here from Google Says, who says, why is it released this soon? It seems quite rushed, and you said you'd only be releasing it once the players are happy. Do you feel that everyone's happy?
It's certainly not rushed. The system, we've been betaing it for, since June, July. We've never ever had such a long period of the game in a beta format. We've had more feedback than we've ever had on any update ever. We've obviously run the beta for a long time. We've had countless opportunities for people to give us feedback. We've run live streams. We've got the combat survey, which is live in the beta. We've got the tutorials that we launched early. We think it's ready. We've been working on it ever so hard, and we're really confident. We're really proud of the system that we've built now, and we're ready to launch it. So no, we don't feel like it's rushed at all. It's the right thing. It's the right time.
Brilliant. It is such a big change to the game. So why not make a poll or have a vote based on whether people or how people would like to see the evolution of combat?
I was talking to my friends chat the other day, and I said that if a company was going to make a new chocolate bar, they would give that chocolate bar to people, and then they would give them the opportunity to give their comments on the chocolate bar. You wouldn't you wouldn't survey a whole load of people who'd never eaten the chocolate bar because they wouldn't know anything about it. So we decided that we wanted to do something like a poll, but we decided we wanted to make it a survey, something in-game that people would have to be logged into to answer, so they wouldn't have to go to a different website or a different page, all things that they could actually do within the game that they knew and love. And we wanted to make sure that the players that were answering the survey had just tried the latest version of the combat system that we've made. It's changed so much since we first launched the beta. Hundreds, thousands of different changes that we've made because of our own opinions, and our own opinions change as we're developing content, and of course all the awesome feedback that we've had from the players. Putting the survey in the beta we felt was the right thing to do, because it meant that people were trying it, they were trying the latest version of it, and we were giving them the ability to answer those questions within the game. And we're really quite pleased with the results that we've had from the survey.
Okay, brilliant. So there's a question here from a few people who've asked about having 2 separate servers, maybe having one that has new combat, new improved combat, and one that has the old school combat.
So it's almost impossible to do something like that. We've fundamentally changed so much of the game, so many of the items, the potions, the different things. It would be impossible to have one grand exchange to function, to work with both versions of everything, and we didn't want to split the game into 2. We're really proud of the community that we've got, and the idea of making another version of the game just wasn't the right thing for us to do. So it's almost impossible for us to be able to provide 2 versions of the game at the same time. All the way back in Classic, we still had the Classic game function, and then we made RuneScape 2, but those communities effectively split into 2. The items meant different things, the equipment, it's just impossible to evolve the game to the degree that we have and still keep the old system as it was. I think it's really, really important to say that you can still play the game in the same way that you always have. We've just added a whole load of new equipment and new awesome things that you can do. The game's still there, still the same game. You can still pretty much do exactly the same things that you were doing before. The momentum ability that we've added specifically is there for people to still play in the old school way of combat. If you don't want, if you don't want something that's so engaging, if you don't want to be activating all the different abilities, if you want to just sort of sit back and do that one-click combat that people are used to, you can still do those things with the momentum ability.
Okay, cool. So I've got a question here from Oliver Terence Doyle, And Oliver asks, will you go back to the old combat system if EoC doesn't work?
I've been talking for ages. What do you boys want to chip in?
Well, functionally, it does work, or at least to a point where we're happy to release it. Yeah, I think you have to define doesn't work. But
okay, so I guess what you're saying is if people don't like it, would you go back to the old combat system?
the old combat system is still there. We haven't deleted the code, although it would be much happier to slowly phase things in to make the new combat system closer to the old one, rather than just completely flip it over, because we do have that problem where we can't progress, we can't push forward, and that's not somewhere where we'd be happy to go back to.
Brilliant, okay.
Yeah, the game's still there. You can still use the game in exactly the same way that you were before. Slight different changes, no different from any other update. Every update that we add to the game will change some facets of the game. You have to adapt. You have to change the way that you look at certain, at combat. Don't forget that this evolution of combat will also change the way that players use certain skills and the way they train different skills, whether it's combat or not combat. The ability bar will give you all sorts of functions that you didn't have before, make it a lot easier to interact with, and a lot more fun, a lot more engaging. You've also got to remember that we've done this because of the future of the game. This allows us to do the most amazing things in the future. All these cool ideas that we've had for all these years that we've desperately wanted to add to the game, but we couldn't because of the way that the old system functioned. So the updates that we've got planned, in the short term, things like the Ranger Slayer dungeon, the Cowfight King, we've got some awesome stuff planned for the Wilderness as well. All of those things are things that we just wouldn't have been able to do justice to them if we'd released them with the old system. It wouldn't have been as cool, and we wouldn't have been able to add all of the awesome high-level equipment that we've got planned.
Fair enough, fair enough. Okay, so I've got quite a long question here, so get comfy. Reading through comments by the community on RuneScape's forum, Facebook and Twitter, a huge majority of people disagree with this update and have quit or are threatening to quit. Many famous RuneScapians have quit, most of them because of EoC. What are you going to do to reignite the community, or are you expecting the new player base to take hold of the new game?
So, as I just mentioned, all the really awesome content that we've got planned for the short term, absolutely 100% sure that content will get people excited about what we've tried to do. And whether they're new players or veteran players, elite players, they'll all be excited about the content that we've got planned. We're going to be constantly looking at their feedback, engaging with the players on the forums and in the game, working out what principles that we have to change, just to make as many people as possible happy about this system. I would disagree that the majority of people don't want this update to happen. The survey that we recently ran in the beta worlds, that wasn't the feedback that we got at all. It's quite often the case with any update that you have a small group of players or a smaller group of players that don't necessarily like the updates. They're very vocal on the forums. I always say, if you really like the content, if you really enjoy what you're playing with, then you're actually playing with it. You're not posting on forums about how much you dislike something. Yeah. There's no motivation for a player who really, really likes the system to go and post on the forums that they really, really like it, because they're really engaging with it. They know we're going to launch it. They know that it's the best thing that we can do to the game. So we're really, really proud of what we've created, and we're absolutely sure that once you've got your teeth into these cool updates that we're doing in the futures, and you've had an opportunity to work with the system, in the live game, we're absolutely sure that people are going to really enjoy what we've done.
Brilliant. Okay, so it's coming live in about 2 weeks' time, then, yeah?
Yeah.
And what are you going to change between now and launch day? Are there any big changes to come, or is it kind of tweaks now? Or?
One big change that I'm working on is a big buff to prayer and potions. What we're specifically aiming at is obviously turmoil and overload, just to make it really, really good. We've had a lot of feedback of players saying, I spend hundreds of millions of GP getting these, and you've just made them completely useless. Well, yeah, we agree that the current rates aren't anywhere near as good. Recently this week, I at least tripled the rate at which the buff that you were going to get from turmoil and overload, and that went to our QAs, and it came back from our QAs saying, no, it needs to be a bit more. I don't feel that the money I spent is as good. So Yeah, we're buffing Turmoil and Overload. There's a few other things that we're changing as well.
You were talking about momentum?
Oh, am I allowed to say that?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, so the momentum ability is designed for people who want to have a little bit more than no interaction with the system, and we've made it so it increases your damage rates. I actually extended it on the sly, and I only informed Mark quite a short while ago about
Literally
this.
just before the stream started.
Is that why he's sitting over there and you're sitting
Yeah,
here?
no. Chris comes up with fantastic ideas. It's just I like these things to be run past me. That's
Yeah, well, it's allowed to go in now, so I'm allowed to say it. But
Naughty Steps just over there.
yeah, sorry. So the idea was, I read a few guys saying they like the system, they like momentum, and they don't want to spam buttons specifically, which is fine, because that's a different level of interaction from everything we've described so far. So what I've done to momentum is it actually uses a basic ability for you every 20 seconds based on what you're holding. So if you've got dual wielding and you just want to do Slayer and just click the button and wait, it actually does a bit of cool things, which obviously increases your damage, and it looks cooler to the outside, looks cooler to you, you get better damage out of it, and it's quite a good improvement because it improves your DPM and ultimately gets the job done quicker.
Okay.
And it prevents the button mashing if you don't want to do it, which is cool.
Fair enough. Question here from Goatman14. Goatman13 was unavailable for comment, so we had to make do with Goatman14.
good job we didn't talk to Goatman 15.
What do you know about him?
I
don't want to know.
Who knows? I bet there's one though.
Yeah, no doubt. After someone
know
saw
Goatman 15.
yeah, after Goatman 14 came around, so that's a good idea. I love some of that. Right, will all the new items coming into the game have a stock on the Grand Exchange, or will players need to kill and make them first? Says Goatman 14.
So another really cool aspect of what we've done is we're adding new equipment to the game, and that's equipment that players will have to go out and smith or fletch or craft themselves, or they'll have to go and fight specific boss monsters to go and get that equipment. We like that, the fact that we're giving more value to smiths or players that have got decent levels in the different sort of crafting skills. They'll actually be able to go and make that equipment and make a bit of money from it from the Grand Exchange. Also, there'll be new reasons to go and fight boss monsters that you may have got tired of, different areas of the game which we haven't updated for a while. So there'll be loads of different things for combatants to do and for the crafters to do. So preloading the stuff on the Grand Exchange has seemed like a bit of a waste to me. And we never do something like that anyway. I mean, when we add new updates to the game, we want the players to get their teeth into it. We don't want to just chuck them on the Grand Exchange.
Fair enough. Okay. Will the evolution of combat make fighting monsters tougher?
Not any tougher than they've always been already. We have changed a few things on the monsters, so you might find that your loadout for different monsters is different, specifically to do with the weaknesses, but the weakness system has always been there. So, for instance, you'd take Armadillo instead of Bandos if you wanted the magic protection, So I think it's just a question of learning the new things, and once that hurdle's finished, exactly the same as before. Okay. If anything, it's easier because you'll kill them a lot quicker.
Okay.
It's about when you're actually fighting the monster, it's not going to be more difficult. I would argue that it's going to be easier in terms of being able to do a decent rate of damage to kill the monsters. The effort will be in the bank before you go out on your journey. It will be about, as John said, choosing the right loadout, making sure you've got the right gear to fight the right monsters.
Okay.
Just on the same vein, I'd like to touch on what John said about the weaknesses. Currently in live, like if I'm on my character, which is max stats, obviously, and you run on Slayer, there's nothing more annoying than hitting 0 and missing and missing and missing. And you're like, I've got 99 attack. Why am I missing this gargoyle? And one of the great things that this has introduced is we've extended the whole stab/crush weakness system to actually mean something now. So if you've gone and put that extra effort into the loadout, or you're using the right style, I think we guarantee you a very tasty hit chance against that monster. I think it's like 90% plus.
Yeah.
So it's making sure you've got the levels and the skill yourself as a person to make your avatar do the best it can. It's much more rewarding rather than just missing all the time.
Bear in mind though, you're not forced to always go with
No, of course, yeah.
If you go with the correct combat style, for instance, you're still given
A very, very nice hit chance that's still better than the live rates.
Yeah.
Just the weakness gives you an insane boost to your accuracy.
Right.
Again, it's all about tactics. It's all about making sure you've got the right gear for the right job. those tactical choices that you make when you're at the bank. For a lot of people, that's almost the most fun part of combat, you know, looking through all your equipment, deciding what you're going to take out with you. And the fact that you'll be missing a lot less if you've got the right gear with you, again, it's those fundamental reasons why we changed the system. Make it more fun, make it more rewarding, make it less frustrating than the current system.
A bit more skillful.
Yeah, exactly. You know, those tactical choices that a combatant should be able to make.
Okay.
And it opens up the whole, at the moment people use a rapier or a whip at the high end, so they only ever use stab or slash. This allows us to say, you know, this thing's really good against Crusher, it's worth bringing a maul or something like that. So it just varies what weapons you're using rather than having the loadout and that's all you ever use.
Okay.
And that adds to the variety in the products as well, because it means you'll be walking around and people will be wearing different stuff. They won't all be wearing the same gear. So, you know, it makes the whole place so much richer.
Okay, we don't have a penguin with a bell this week.
Sorry.
But so we should skip.
Sorry,
on.
that is a topic that we're all very excited
Yeah.
about, because we all hate hitting zeros.
Okay.
Yeah.
And don't ask about the penguin and the bell.
No.
I was worried. That
Best
was
left
going on.
last week. Okay, won't Slayer be harder because everything's multi-combat? For example, more bank trips for food.
No, everything is multi-combat, but most of the things outside of the wilderness aren't aggressive. So it's up to you. If you want to take on one at a time, only attack one at a time. If you want to take on lots at a time, you can.
Okay.
But yeah, you're going to be hit by lots of things at once.
Okay. And the action bar, will it be movable?
So on launch, action bar will not be movable. Obviously, you'll be able to minimise it. So if you don't like the look of the action bar, you'll be able to minimise it so it's not there, which means you'll be able to type as you're used to. However, in the future, with the things that we're talking about with RuneScape 3, we're doing some incredible design projects at the moment, completely reworking the top level interface, which is development speak for the screen, basically. We're looking into the ability to effectively build your own screen, so you'll be able to use all the different sort of principles, all the different things that you use from different interfaces to build your own screen to make it perfect for you. And the plan for that is to make the ability bar movable.
Okay.
That's a bit of a reveal there.
Yeah.
Well, obviously we're working really hard on that, and we'll try to do as much as we can.
Can you explain the momentum ability fully? That's a question from Satire Pie.
Go on, Chris.
Go on, mate.
Domino down here.
You're
So,
right, yeah.
so the momentum ability is an AFK or away from keyboard solution for those people that don't want to be using abilities or using the system. You just have to generate it to ultimate level once, and you click it, and then for 20 minutes you're doing more damage, you're more effective, as if you're using, I think it's basic abilities constantly. And like I said a second ago, you've now got this extra effect of it uses some cool abilities for you, so it even increases your damage rate, your DPM, and makes you look more interesting for other people to watch and just, you know, in the area. It's worth mentioning, like we touched on before in the first section, about the level of interaction with the system is purely down to you. It'll work if you make it work for you. That's probably not the greatest way of saying it, but it works for everyone in that if you don't want to do anything, if you want to use the existing live system, just minimise the action bar and it's business as usual, except we've got the cool stuff like dual wielding and stuff. This is the step up from that, so you want to use a little bit of abilities. Momentum gives you more output, it makes you look cooler, and then you've got the next step, which is using any ability you want and being super effective.
Okay, I hope that helps, Satire Pie. If not, give us a tweet, RS Live on Twitter. Yeah, get in touch. Okay, the XP rates. Are the XP rates in the beta now balanced? Will we get those XP rates in the live version?
The XP rates currently in the beta aren't final. I think we still want to do tweaks to them. We want to get them as close to the live versions as we possibly can. That's not always possible, but we will get them. Not possible to get bang on, but yeah, our aim is to get them the same, if not slightly better.
Okay.
It's interesting to note that I wouldn't consider any XP rate in the game, the live game, to be final. I mean, it's things that we're constantly tweaking, we're constantly changing. We've got updates coming into the game every single week, and that changes the game, changes the way that players interact with certain skills. So we're always changing XP rates, and this is no different.
Okay. I've got a few questions all about Dungeoneering now.
Woohoo!
So the obvious one then is, will Dungeoneering be more difficult?
All right. Dungeoneering creators.
Yeah, afraid so.
No, is the short answer. I've played through plenty of dungeons because obviously I've worked on the rebalance that's coming out in the next week,
Yeah.
and I've also looked at it in the combat branch of the new stuff, and it's much more effective. It's easier. Everything in the dungeon has the weakness, but we're not as harsh on the combat triangle. So if you use the wrong style against something that you shouldn't be using against, we still allow you a pretty decent hit rate. So yeah, and I've run some dungeon with a party in the beta servers, and we were blitzing through it as well. And you got some really cool stuff like the hurricane ability, where you spin a two-hander around, and it does like a big AOE hit. That's really good for clearing out guardian rooms and stuff like that. So it makes it more interesting. If people interact with the system, you're going to get a lot more reward. It's definitely not harder.
Okay, I've got a question here about binds. Did you mention that in the behind the scenes this week as well?
I don't know if that made it in, but yeah.
Are we going to get more binds in Dungeoneering?
Yes.
Okay.
And we're also going to do it this week. I'm allowed to say all this.
Yeah, you go for it.
No, I reworked the bind system partly for combat and partly because it's very old and it's never really been done well. So after a few goes at it, we've now got this system where anyone can bind up to 10 items. I know that sounds like a lot, but hear me out. You've got 10 items in like a pool, okay? And then you have 3 loadout bars. This is all in a separate interface, which you can access from the smuggler. So when you bind an item, based on your Dungeoneering level, you have 1 slot available, 2, 3, 4, or 5. So the maximum now is 5. And you can drag into different setups. You can have like a mage bar of 5 things from the 10 pool. This is getting complicated already, isn't it?
With you still, go on.
It's really straightforward, but basically you can make a mage bar, a range bar, a melee bar, or even 3 different melee bars with a different weapon, and you can choose which one you start with at the start of a dungeon, and you can switch them on the fly just from going to the smuggler and taking it, and it all auto-equips like before. It's very cool, and they're much more flexible.
Right. Are there going to be any formula changes to Dungeoneering XP when it's released?
So, I mean, we've obviously got the update planned next week, which is increasing the average return that you get for smaller Dungeoneering parties. That update, that's in the bag. That's going to happen next week, and we've got no further changes planned for any kind of formula calculations for Dungeoneering.
Okay. And will there be any offhand Dungeoneering weapons?
In the future, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. That's pretty simple.
Hopefully we'll have it before the end of the year with any luck.
Okay.
Obviously we wanted to focus on the main game, the surface world if you like. We've got a lot of the assets that we needed for Dungeoneering, but there are lots of different things that we need to think about for Dungeoneering. Things like rangers, for example, are limited to only using bows at the moment within Dungeoneering, so they're kind of they don't have dual wielding options right there at the moment, so we'd have to add some new equipment, maybe some new ways of building that equipment within the dungeons.
Okay, all right. I've got a few questions now just about levels, stats, and items in general. So first off, then we've got what will be happening to the Enchanted Excalibur. It's the best reward from the achievement diary, and it will be a massive shame for it to be wasted as a reward when its special attack is removed.
So the enhanced Excalibur is actually going to heal you again. It's not, yeah, whee! But what it's going to do is 1 in every 4 attacks.
Jane falling off her chair.
Yeah, it's fine.
She's just partying about the Excalibur.
Yeah,
She was that excited.
She was that excited.
Enchanted Excalibur. She's fallen off her chair. Go
So
on,
can I carry on?
Carry on.
So roughly one in every four attacks. So you've got a 1 in 4 chance of it happening. It will heal you a set amount of your life points. If you've completed the Elite Achievement Diary, then it will heal you more.
Okay. We have seen generals of 5 gods of RuneScape. Will there be anything like that to do with Guthix in the future, aka a god sword, or perhaps level 90 plus gear? Is this a reveal? Is there a spoiler alert coming?
We have got an amazing year planned next year. The gods will feature heavily, and Guthix will certainly not miss out. There'll be all sorts of things that we've got planned for future content, including level 85 equipment and above.
Wow, okay, all right. In the equipment screen, will you be giving offense, defense ratings, numerical values, or will you be keeping them as stars?
Both, I believe, is the current plan.
Yeah, we're aware of the star systems.
Yeah.
The top half of that interface has gone down really well. The bottom half isn't doing what the players need it, and it's not really doing what we need it to, so we're going to be looking at that. There's going to be numerics, so there's going to be a better sort of inbuilt comparison. It's one of the things that will be changed before release.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. And then finally, then one on this section from James Wilkins. Do you have any plans to change back the protection prayers so they fully protect 100% against monster damage?
Not your level 43 ones, I'm afraid. We getting 100% protection off of something that's level 43, bit OP. However, we have created it in a way such that we can buff them quite healthily, and we'd be quite happy to look into ways in future where you can say have an ability or a potion which does push it back up to say 75 or even 100% for a short amount of time, so you put in a bit more effort. I would also say that the panic around the potion, the prayers not protecting you 100%, there are things, if you take a shield, the defensive abilities can do quite a staggering amount to mitigate your incoming damage, and in fact one of them even heals you from the hit you take. So yeah, we're not going to switch them back, but we're definitely going to look at possibly buffing them in the future, and there are still ways in the EoC to mitigate your incoming damage.
Certainly, if you're a player that's used to that kind of level of protection from protection prayers, investigate the defensive skill. One of the things that I said really early on is that we wanted to make the triangle mean something, and we wanted to make the defense skill actually mean something. For me, the idea of being able to defend against certain attacks, the defensive skills should do the lion's share of something like that, and the abilities that you can trigger when you're in shield mode, as we kind of call it. Well, I guess I call it that. It's just the stuff that you can do with your defensive abilities are seriously cool, and in many circumstances much better than the old prayers.
Right. Okay. Got a few questions now about the future, so are we going to hopefully get some spoilers?
Sure.
Let's see. Okay, once the EoC is implemented, what is next for the game in terms of high-level content and quests?
So, in December, obviously there's player imports.
Yep.
That's entirely for high-end players. Beginning...
How high-end?
So, currently we're looking at skills over level 90. I'm not going to be specific on those skills right now. We'll have some more reveals coming up about that.
Right.
But certainly you want to start leveling up your skills.
Oh, you nearly said it. You nearly said one.
Over level 91, probably. So that's December. Then we're also working on things like the Calfight King right now. The cool things that we want the Calfight King to be able to do, we just couldn't do with the old system. Evolution of Combat allows us to do some awesome stuff, including high-end equipment. We've also got a new Ranger dungeon planned. This is the first time I've mentioned this, so it's absolutely brand new reveal. Ranger-orientated dungeon, so you'll be encouraged to use your ranging skills when you're down there. There'll also be a big Slayer element to it as well. Again, more high-end equipment coming in through that. We've also got a massive update to the Wilderness plans, something that I'm currently calling Wilderness Warbands, which is the concept of NPC camps being set up across the wilderness, massive bands of warriors rampaging across the wilderness, clashing in the middle, so lots of NPCs fighting each other, the players getting involved in the fights. You've got non-combatants going to the war camps. Now, again, this is just kind of idea in my head at the moment. It's really early on in development. People have just got started in terms of writing design briefs for it, but we want to put more life, more energy into the wilderness, encourage more people to be there. Looking at those things that the players have been talking about all year to do with the kind of the pecking order, the vicious circle that functions within the wilderness, giving people those reasons to go there for increased returns if you want that additional risk of being PK'd. This specifically looking at the things that the players have been talking about before we started talking about the evolution of combat, the things that they really wanted us to add to the game, and things that we just simply couldn't do justice without the evolution of combat. And it's so many ideas from the players and from us. Okay. And that's just the tip of the iceberg, really. We've got even more awesome things planned for the rest of next year. So,
would any of those be abilities by any chance? Are you thinking about adding more abilities in the future? I've heard something like obtaining through quests. What about mini games or specific monsters? It says public off.
But technically there's no limit on how we can unlock them, so we can do it in any of the ways you've described, and there is a quest in development that will unlock more than one ability. I don't want to say how many, I'm not sure, but yeah, it's a lot. Well, yeah, it's enough.
It's worthwhile pointing out that we've got some serious Grandmaster level content coming out. and there'll be all sorts of things associated with that. But don't think about it any differently from the current system. The idea of unlocking new weapons, new equipment, potions, or anything like that as you complete mini games or quests, or unlock higher elements of skills. Absolutely no different. We don't want to change that part of the game. It's really rewarding, so we don't want to change that.
All right. Okay. Good. Will certain features not included in the beta right now be implemented at a later date? For example, miasmic spells and god spells.
Go on, John. You take this one.
Go on, John.
Go on.
Go on. So currently, the god spells are basically have been turned into one spell to make sure, called Divine Storm, to make sure that the mage training arena isn't fully deprecated. And what was the other thing? It was miasmic spells.
Yeah.
We felt that miasmic spells weren't really bringing much to the table. You had to jump through a ton of hoops to get them, and hardly anybody used them anyway. So they have been removed. As far as the original question, which is anything missed, tell us what we've missed.
Okay.
Hopefully on the forums.
We've tried to be as thorough as we possibly can, but if we've missed anything, do let us know.
Okay.
Every day we're combing those forums.
I'm looking to see if we're going to get tweets of things.
Well,
that
hopefully,
missed.
do tweet in and let us know what we've missed.
Okay. Next one is actually from probably my favourite name of the evening, I Am a Human. It's quite good, quite like that. With the launch of EoC, will we start to see progression and, more importantly, news towards other big updates that were hinted at, such as, such as player imports, the 2 new skills, the PMod recruitment MMG hinted at, and, by the way, that's the MMG all-seeing eye that looks over us for all live streams. Don't poke the eye. Yes, the PMod recruitment MMG hinted at, and the RuneScape apps. Yes, basically, isn't it?
So loads of stuff that I've already talked about there. 2 skills are currently at the design phase. The PMod recruitment staff, that I know that's something that the CM team are looking at the moment. It's not something that we're directly working on. And the RuneScape apps, that's very exciting. We've had several meetings about that recently. We've been looking at the kind of things that we want to produce, the different kind of apps, what kind of things that we would want to be able to support RuneScape. It's really, really exciting. I've wanted to have the idea of kind of different games using that RuneScape logo, using that IP, the rich, the fantastic world that we have. The idea of getting that out and kind of different devices is really, really exciting.
And then they'd all come together.
Well, this is brand new stuff. It's literally stuff we've just started working on and just thinking about, really. Talking to all the different departments and what we need to do to actually make something like that happen. But it's a reality. It's not a kind of pie in the sky dream. This is something that we're actually going to do. So it's really cool.
Wicked. Okay. Where have we got to? Let's have. Are you going to add more food in future?
Food.
You can never have enough food.
Apparently not.
So the amount of food we currently have, especially at the low end, is incredibly chocked full. However, the high end, currently we have rocktails at the top end and possibly sharks people use. But as the game moves on, we're going to want more and more food. So just like we introduce new armor at the high end, yes, we can introduce more food when we feel it's appropriate.
Right. Next one, I've got one about the Combat Academy. I really enjoyed the new Combat Academy.
Good.
But I find it very simple and it's reaching more for lower level players. I made a video guide about it and most comments were asking about more high level stuff. Will you be adding more to it in the future so you can learn more advanced stuff?
Certainly the way in which it's made allows someone to come along and just add a session if we feel it's needed. Definitely, I will agree with you. The lower end sessions, say the first 4, are pretty low end stuff. But that's to allow, say, free to players to come along and learn our new combat system from scratch. The higher end ones, such as sessions 5, 6, and 7, especially session 7, is for advanced combat users. But there is something else I put into the Combat Academy that isn't a session, which I've deliberately put in there for the high level players. The Combat Academy sessions give you a basis for which you can just build on. The training dummies there, however, are there for you to play around in a safe environment and work out your own style, work out exactly how the abilities will fit together for you, and it's a safe environment. I understand at the moment some of the dummies are killing players, but when it's live, the dummies will not kill you, I promise you.
Some of the dummies are killing players.
They are.
Brilliant, brilliant.
Yeah, the strong dummies are pretty strong.
Excellent. Next one I've got then is from Jessica Gran. I'm curious what you on Jagex had the most fun working on with the EoC, adding abilities, new animations, or anything else? Dummies that fight back.
Go on, Chris. You start off.
To start with, I enjoyed like when graphics provided the new animations, because we always had to like just test if they worked. And when you first clicked a button to see like you jump in the air and do this crazy meteor strike animation, that was pretty cool and fun to plug in and see it when you're actually in combat. Like the first time we used to plug in special attack animations, these are much more high caliber sort of animations, which was awesome to see. I think the most fun I've had since that sort of level was definitely prototyping like what we can do with the future. So I made the Max guy, the guy that sells the Max cape. I made him clever, and watch him get severely underestimated by some players near the Duel Arena when I spawned him on the map.
Yeah, you killed 5 players in a row.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy, and he like spawns out Steel Titans and stuff. He's very clever, so that was definitely enjoyable. And I think just in general working with the players and like feedback about stuff that we didn't have in at all, like the AFK aspect and the momentum. It makes it much more similar to the live system, and just catering for the majority of people that aren't specifically happy with stuff we've done. There's still something there for them, and it was enjoyable to make that side of it as well, to make sure there's something for everyone.
Okay. Now I've got a rapid fire selection of questions here for you. There's no clock, there's no penguin with a bell or anything.
Damn.
But
Shame.
I don't know. We need some kind of alarm of how do we make it rapid fire? I guess I'll just talk quickly. I'll just talk quickly, and then we're going to put some of your questions that you've been sending in through Twitter to the guys right after. So let's hope somebody passes me a piece of paper with a load of your tweets on any moment. Okay, rapid fire selection then. How do I sheathe and unsheathe my weapons?
You can press star on the numpad, or you can right-click on the minimize button, and there's a little button there for you.
That's correct. Is there a wiki page where I can read about what the abilities do? I'd like to know what the abilities can be combined together.
Currently no, but Mod Michelle has been working incredibly hard creating a very, very expansive wiki for you.
Fantastic, 10 points. I'm confused about weapon and armour stats and how the damage is calculated. I don't understand the star system.
Don't be confused. As we mentioned earlier, we're reworking that entire system to make it easier to understand.
What are the channeled abilities?
So channel abilities are what we call combo attacks, where you can click on the ability and instead of having to mash or do more abilities straight after, it does something cool and it lasts like 5 to 10 seconds, so it's much more impressive and does more damage over time sort of thing.
Okay. How is defensive rating calculated? There is no weakness set up.
I think what they're saying, wondering is actually how the defensive rating of each of the styles, and is there a no weakness setup? So basically we take an average of all of your armor and work out how effective you are at each style, and we compare that against the style of your opponent. So your defense relates to what class you are, how powerful your armor is, and the opponent you're actually fighting.
I'm going to have to hurry you there.
Yep.
Do you want to talk about hybriding?
I can talk about hybriding. The
Stop the clock, stop the clock.
Yeah, exactly. I believe there's a question, might be a question coming later about hybriding.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay. How do prez work in EoC?
They work exactly the same as they did before. You're still triggering them in the same way. Of course, it's a lot easier now because you'll be able to use your quick prayer functions on the ability bar, but they're all still there. They still function in the same way. We've obviously made some tweaks. We talked about earlier about the changes to maximum protection, like level 43 prayer, etc. And we've obviously improved other abilities or other prayers as well.
Okay. What about potions? Will they work in the same way?
They will work in the same way. Drink a potion, get an increase, and again we're looking at the increase behind the scenes that will be increased.
Okay. Can we dual wield in Dungeoneering?
Not currently, but in the future, yes.
What's a critical hit and why does it matter?
Critical hits are cool. Critical hits do 1.5 times the normal damage that an attack would. You will notice that there are various different pieces of equipment that you can use to increase your critical hit chance. Pieces of jewellery, amulets, rings. There are also certain weapons that will give you increases to your critical hit chance. very importantly, if you hit a critical hit on an ability, it will do maximum damage return. So hitting crits is a really important new thing to the system, and all the information will be there. Have a play around, see what works for you.
Okay. Do enchanted bolt effects even do anything now? Chris?
They do the same thing they've always done, I believe.
Yep.
What is the freedom ability?
Freedom is an awesome ability. It frees you from stuns and binds. It'll remove all dots. It's generally a get out of jail free card. It will also make you immune for stuns for 6 seconds.
Okay. How do you calculate the life points restored by a food, knowing your constitution level?
The easiest thing to do is look at the cooking level required for certain types of food and find the cooking level that's most appropriate to your constitution level. So look at your constitution level, then look at the cooking levels for all the different food. That's the best food for you to use. It's the most efficient food for you to use. You can still use higher level food, and that will still give you a really good rate of healing, but it'd be much more effective for you to use the food that's intended for your level. And the reason why we've done that is to balance the system accordingly. It's really difficult to balance a low level monster if everyone's eating shark, because they're effectively have a greater healing potential than their character's designed to have. But that doesn't mean that you can't use shark. It just means it's more efficient, more effective, better GP value if you're using the food designed for your level.
Correct. Right, the next one isn't so much a question, it's just 4 words. Accuracy, penalties on armour. For example, how does wearing ranged armour affect my use of melee?
Oh, so this is what you wanted to talk about hybrid in?
Yeah.
Well, I can just talk
go
about hybriding. So using the wrong type of armor for your style for your current attack style will lessen your effectiveness. However, it will not completely nerf it to the ground such that you can no longer use it. The reason why we're putting so much work into this effectiveness rating is so that you can see your kind of skew in your different combat styles. We want to support hybriding if anything. And with the strengthening of the combat triangle, supporting hybriding becomes a lot easier and a lot nicer. You'll find that a really good hybrid who was owning beforehand will own even harder in the new system.
Okay. And finally then, how does adrenaline increase? Does eating reduce it?
Adrenaline increases from making attacks. You've got your basic attacks that will generate adrenaline. You've got your auto attacks, they'll generate adrenaline. Using thresholds and ultimates will cost you adrenaline. And then if you do anything in combat that isn't swinging a weapon, that will drain your adrenaline slightly. So when you're outside of combat, adrenaline will go down. But when you're eating things like food, your adrenaline will go down as well. Okay, brilliant.
Right, let's have some tweets then, yeah?
Yes, please.
Oh, one more question. Is this pen, look, it's got black on one end, it's blue on the other. Is it a red pen? Sorry, is it a blue pen or a black pen? It's definitely not a red pen.
I would say that's a hybrid pen.
It's a hybrid pen.
Yeah,
You can't have that, you've got to pick a colour.
Red pen.
Black pen's
purple
black.
pen.
It is black, correct. Right, okay. Hannah Bailey from Facebook says, tell Mark I'm his biggest fan, I think he's handsome.
Shots.
Ace Thomas from Facebook
Make
says,
me go red, thanks.
thanks for the awesome update, guys. Can't wait for all the new boss content. And Runezone say, tell Modpie he's a noob and Runezone is ready to own him when the EoC is fully released. Right, okay, any more questions? Why does Paul Owen get the far more comfy chair?
Oh, they spotted that.
That is not a comfy chair. I'm very happy to be on this chair.
That's pretty good. Mark, you sound like Russell Howard. Did you know this?
What? No. Good. Thanks. Actually, I quite like Russell Howard. I saw him in stand-up years ago. He's very good.
Pata Postimi, is that a joke name? I can't read that.
Post.
Pate Postimis from Twitter says, since special attacks
Postman Pat.
That's not what it says, but
Can't
let's-
unsay it.
Postman Pat will do for now.
Postman Pat on Twitter says,
since special attacks are removed due to the EoC, does items such as Dragon Claws have any special abilities or upgraded stats?
Just to touch
and
on-
where do you get offhand weapons from when EoC hits the game?
You can check out where you get offhand weapons in the current beta. You can make X on them, smithing, where you'd expect, basically. In answer to the first one, Dragon Claws have critical bonus, like Mark was saying, special items get the special stats. And special attacks have been removed, however we're still allowing special like passive effects. So like the God Swords still have something in a similar way to the Excalibur that John was talking about earlier. Mm-hmm. They still do very similar effects to what they do in live, so they differentiate from each other and they're still very unique and worth having.
Okay, one here from Zeus on Twitter. What does the EoC allow you to do that the old combat system would not? That's a really good question.
tactics. That's the main thing. So it allows you to make tactical choices within your fighting. It also makes combat much more tactile, and by that I mean you kind of really feel the combat rather than spending time navigating between interfaces. You can drag everything to your ability bar and really get stuck in. Basically makes combat much more engaging, much more fun, much more rewarding. Makes the game look better, makes the game feel better, and just it means that when you're involved in combat, you're actually involved in combat rather than doing a whole load of things which aren't combat related at all.
All right, okay. Esther Plug from Facebook says, I have the feeling everything is going to get standardised in tiers. Can you shed some light on that?
I'm not quite sure what they mean by that question. We've obviously gone for RuneScape's always been a game where you've got levels, and you go up levels, and the monsters that we want you to fight also increase in levels as well. So that kind of tiered system has always been there. It's absolutely no different. It's just that what we've had the ability to do now is all those updates that have evolved over sort of 9, 10, 11 years, we've taken them all and balanced them from the ground up, which means that to a lot of people it looks as though everything's been standardised, but that's certainly not the case. What we've done is we've increased the reason to have different kits and different loadouts. We've changed it so that you'll see a lot more different styles and different equipment being used throughout the game. And as you level up, as the targets that you're fighting increase, you'll use different pieces of equipment. It's no different. We've always had like bronze and iron and steel and Addy, Mithril, Rune, Dragon, God Wars, whatever. They are different tiers. It's absolutely no different from what we've done now. It's just that it's structured in a better way, better balance, better for the future of the game, much more effective, much more transparent, so everyone knows what's going on rather than getting confused about everything.
Okay, all right then. Moving swiftly on. Sleepy Noob says, are the XP rates using momentum better, the same, or worse than that of the current XP rates in game?
Right.
Good question.
So momentum should be the same. I don't think anything should be worse. Even if you don't use momentum, you should still be on par. I think momentum will boost that to more of a definitive level of the same.
Right.
And then anything from that above is going to be a likely increase. Okay.
I love this next one from Rubik. Is there a chance that the beta servers will be used for something else after the EoC goes live?
It's a good test for us. It's a massive change to the game. We've got the beta servers working. In the future, if we're making big fundamental changes to the game and we feel that there are updates that are worth betaing, that we want to get 5-6 months worth of feedback about, or we're trying different things, then we've got a platform to do it now. It's a brand new thing. We're really excited about it because it allows us to kind of try out new things, get the players' feedback. The content that we make so much better when we get feedback from the players, and it just gives us a better platform to do that. So, sky's the limit.
Okay. Next one comes from Dr. Success. What's the reasoning behind being able to change from single to multi-way combat in the wilderness?
All yours.
Yeah. So the original reason why everything was made multi-way is because we made the whole game multi-way.
Yeah.
However, we listened to a lot of the feedback saying, no, actually we really like single-way. And what I really like is how single-way PKers can be introduced into clans, because definitely for me the coolest thing about PKing is PKing with your friends and PKing in a clan, and we did not want to put a hard separate area between these two. So what we've actually implemented is a way in which solo PKers and multi PKers can actually PK in the same place, and hopefully the two groups can actually speak to each other, and the whole PKing community can actually grow and just help itself build, because you're not in two separate camps.
Brilliant, brilliant. All right then. Okay, we've got a couple more, and then we'll be off then. So Mod Mike wants an offhand rubber chicken. Is this possible?
It is possible.
Graphics actually made offhands for when we said we need offhand weapons, they made offhands for pretty much everything they found. So there's offhand cutlery from the 100th quest recipe for disaster, and the best one I found in my travels through the files was an offhand defender, which is in the right hand, so you can dual wield defenders.
Dual wield defenders,
which we're not going to do, but the asset is there.
Parrying the whole time.
It might be cool to put an offhand rubber chicken in the game. Dual wielding rubber chicken sounds quite cool.
Well, is that a spoiler review?
It's not what we've built the system for, but
okay.
we'll see.
Frying pans.
Yeah,
Dual frying pans.
dual frying pans. That sounds
Oh,
pretty
you
cool.
can have a dual wielding ability. We can just smack.
I was
someone's
thinking
head out of the side,
Vanaka,
Yeah.
the Slayer Master that could single wield a two-handed sword. Could we give him like an offhand two-handed sword so he could have a two-handed sword?
Don't say that on camera.
Oh no, because I want it.
Right, let's skip on then.
Now
Come on.
we flooded
We've got a couple
God's
more.
water, God's
Yeah.
water.
Carl from Twitter says, why do you say fake statistics for positive, negative opinions of EoC?
None of the statistics that we've given out and any of the news posts have been fake at all. They're all been generated from the results that we've had from the combat survey. We put the survey in there because we wanted to have an honest opinion from the players. It's not in our interest to fake those statistics. We don't want to lie to the players. We've always had a really healthy relationship with our community, and we don't want to change that. We're never going to lie about stuff like that.
Okay, so you've got one more question to come then, and that comes from Tyler Winslow from Facebook, who says, why have Overload's extreme potions effectiveness been downgraded?
Did you tune in late?
Right.
Yeah, we answered that.
Well.
We'll answer it again, especially for you,
Yeah.
Tyler Winslow.
Yeah. First off, we did actually. I am in the process of buffing them, and I buffed them once, and they've gone to QA, and I'm buffing them again. Do you want me to cover the original reason why we downgraded them? I think it's worthwhile that you understand where we come from.
Yeah, go on.
So the original reason why we downgraded them is when I looked at the original buffs that they give you, the buffs that they give you is equivalent to a third, well, it's another half of your combat effectiveness on top. And when you add like Turmoil and Overload at the same time, you've got such a big jump between having these things and not having these things that creating engaging boss for everybody who has the high levels but doesn't necessarily have Turmoil and Overload, which are, something which isn't tradable, isn't something that you can just get. It severely limits the amount of people that can interact with the thing that you're designing, and that for us is a really, really bad thing. You get people saying, well, yeah, you can come to next, but not if you don't have Turmoil and Overload. And that's kind of harsh, you want to be able to take your supersets, you want to be able to sit there with piety, It's
What a name. Supersets at next, please.
I do have Turmoil and Overload
What John's
myself.
saying is that if we're going to effectively balance a boss monster, we need to be able to balance it against the target group of players that we're aiming it at. And because high-level players were over-reliant on things like overloads, it meant that we had to balance content for people with overloads. Whereas actually what we wanted to do was balance content for the right combat level, not for the right combat level plus access to things like Herblore. So it was... it's a really interesting design challenge for us because we want to preserve the value of accessing things like high-level Herblore, but we don't want to make it dominate the combat situation. So we want it to be a buff, a boost, but not to the kind of 50% level that John was talking about, because that was just... I just don't consider that to be good design. I'd rather that the lion's share of the responsibility of what makes you effective in combat come from the direct combat stats, rather than things like Herblore, that kind of stuff. Obviously, we've got a long way to go on that. We're still tweaking it. I mean, as John said, we're changing these things right now. We've been working on these things for months and months and months. We're still making changes to the system. We want to make it as good as it possibly can be. But we're still thinking about the future. We've got to make sure that we're building a system that allows us to make these awesome, awesome boss monsters that we've got planned. And we don't want to create a situation where we're in the same trouble that we were in before. So finding that sweet spot between effective, useful, but not dominating, that's the design challenge for us at the moment, right?
Yeah, and like I said, I've made them 3 times more powerful than they are in beta and live, and you can expect them to be even more powerful than that when we do actually go live.
Awesome. And on that bombshell, we should call it a night, guys.
Yes.
So, Evolution of Combat, November the 20th. Getting very excited now. It's happening. It's finally here.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, just check it out. The amount of cool things that we've got planned. Get your teeth into that new system. Try it in the live game. Go to the places that you normally do. Try out all the new abilities that we've added. Try out things like the momentum ability. It's all there. It's still the same game that we all know and love so much, but we've just added the most awesome, cool stuff to the game. And just go and try it. Get your teeth into it. Let us know what you think.
Brilliant. Okay, thank you very much for watching, everyone. We'll be back with a Christmas live stream. We're going to do pub quiz, I think.
Apparently so.
Can't wait for that. It's going to be really fun. We're going to make you do charades and sing a song.
Well,
so you don't even flinch at that. You love it, don't you? You love it.
You got me writing a sea shanty last week, so we'll see.
Indeed. Right. Okay. Thank you very much for watching, then, guys. We'll see you next time. Cheers. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.